73rd episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the third week of December 2011. This episode is titled Analytical Community. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, your cloud community experts, and I am your host, Jason Atwood. Joining me, co-host, 73 times in a row, although I think in the last episode I said 73 when it wasn't, so maybe this is like 72 and a half, is Justin Elstein. Justin, how are you doing today?
Or maybe it's 73 and a half. 73 and a half.
We should do halves. Sometimes it feels like an
A
episode.
and B, halves, thirds, quarters, whatever.
We're in our brand new studios here, trying out a new situation. So we'll see. Let us know if you like the sound better or worse. There might be some intermittent sounds, but that's just the way it goes. We've got an agenda today. There's a new ideas community rollout. We have Salesforce Analytics edition, which we can kind of finally talk about. Salesforce, I have an update from our last podcast called Slow Books, because the Salesforce and Intuit connection is out.
And there you have it.
And dewcom goes live, and then we'll make our CloudFocus App Pick of the weeks at the end. So let's get to it. So the first one was your, basically, you put this on the agenda under Google Docs.
I did. So the Ideas Exchange, the Salesforce Ideas Exchange, or the Ideas Community, has been relaunched. Not really relaunched, but there's been some features added to it to make it more social. Go figure, more social. I think Ideas is pretty social in and of itself, and I think it's a pretty great transparent service that Salesforce provides for its customers, allowing us Salesforce customers and you to submit ideas into a large community and allow people to then vote on them, comment on them, and basically get the attention of product managers that run the products that your ideas are about, and have them, look for these features. And hey, this is a gap in your product. I'd like it to be, not a gap. I'd like you to actually release a feature. And I think it's pretty transparent of them to allow customers to basically say where their product is missing and what things it doesn't do. I think we've applauded them in the past for this. Like, what other company in such a public way shows all the things that they don't do,
right?
And allow for people to comment about them so openly and freely.
It was like that question that came up the other day. Someone asked, what feature gaps are there in Salesforce? And I literally had to sit there and think about it. I'm like, oh, well, I could do this one. I was like, oh, yeah. And there's an entire site that shows you every last feature gap. And you could just rank it by how many votes to say how big the feature gap is. So if you want to fill something in, go for the idea that's not under consideration, not in the next release, with the most votes. And there you go. There's your biggest app. So what's new? Because I hate to say this. Well, no, I don't. I looked at the agenda. I went to take a look, and I poked around for about 20 minutes, and I'm like, I don't see anything new.
So there's a couple of new things. So one of the top new things is that the community has these product managers baked into it.
Yep.
So I'm pulling up an example right now that will lead us into one of our next discussions, is exception reporting, outer joins. And it's marked as coming in the next release. And what you'll see is that there's 186 comments on this idea here, and it has 40,000 votes. So, or 40,000 points, which represents 4,000 votes. Now, what you can see at the very top here is highlighted the latest comment from product management. So you don't have to scroll through the 186 comments to find Tom Tobin's most recent response to this idea. You can see the product manager's comment right there at the very top highlighted. So that's one of the major things that they've done to make it easier to get the feedback from product managers directly and not have to scroll through and find it. The second thing that they've done is they've even more tightly integrated the rest of your profile on the community sites, whether it be ideas, answers, the blogs, the app exchange. So your picture now shows. So it puts a picture to a handle, basically.
Yep.
Makes it even more transparent. Makes it, I think what they're going for here is there'll be less, if your picture's up there, you're less likely to say something stupid, I think, or less likely to like say something out of line.
It's completely true.
The picture's there.
It's kind of, if you're you, meaning
Right.
you, Justin Elstein, as opposed to one of your many, side names, and I have them too, not under Salesforce, but under other social networking, Facebook and Twitter, I certainly have a couple others that I might use that I might say different things under, but right, I'm looking at my, the add comment form, and yes, it's my picture, which is pretty much ubiquitous across all my social networks now.
Right. And the last thing is this Facebook like button. Now, they've always had the share with others section over here, and I think it's a little confusing to have them in both places, but I believe the Facebook like button is new, so that you can share out and continue the conversation in other channels across the social web. So that, to me, to my knowledge, is the new features and ideas, and I'm sure that it's just the tip of the iceberg as they're trying to build out this more, even more social enterprise that is Salesforce. Ideas, I think, is one of their big assets in that, because they've created their own social community for their own products.
Yep, and it does the same things, same features exist in Answers as well. You get the pictures are more prominent, things like that. I will say two things come to mind. I mean, I love this community. I find it, I still think it suffers from, I don't want to call it like bugs. I want to call it like sort of, I went in this morning and I had to log in at least 3 times. It bounced me in and out when I was bouncing between my profile and Answers and actually adding an answer, which was frustrating. Then I went to do stuff in Firefox, like hit on the Twitter to hit tweet, and it would not tweet. And I went to answer an answer in Firefox, and not in Firefox, in Chrome, and I could not answer. I put in the answer, I hit submit answer, nothing. I was logged in, it just wouldn't take it. I went over to Safari, I went to put in an answer, I clicked on, submit answer, and it submitted. So part of me is like, I know browsers are always tough, but there's something there's like a wall somewhere around the coding on this. I don't know. I mean, I know what the platform is built on, but there's some way that they've built this that it always seems to have bugs in it in terms of browser support, in terms of what can work and doesn't work. Whereas I go to a lot of these other sites, from, the one that I talk about a lot is Quora, and Quora just works. You can stay logged in, which is nice. I like being logged in, especially for something like Quora. Like, okay, so what? I'm answering questions. It doesn't have to be high security. This thing never lets you stay logged in. You're always booted out. You come back 5 minutes later, you boot it out. Like, it doesn't leave you stay logged in. It seems to not understand if you're logged in or not, and it just feels clunky. Like, it just the way they render the ideas. They do it all in this jQuery thing where it does this loading. Everything just feels clunkier, and I wish the guys would just sort of, I love the platform. I wish they just go out and sort of like take some of the bigger cues from people who are doing this more, doing it better, and sort of work them in. Stop, work on the stuff like that, because to me, that's the thing that stops me from going into the community. Like, if I know I have to log in, I mean, don't you get that kind of like gut feel, like, oh, I got to log in like 3 times to do something, or it's going to boot me out, or I might have a problem with a different browser.
I don't have the booted out issue as often as you do. I don't get booted out. I jump from ideas to answers to the blog, and I don't really get booted out. That doesn't really happen to me. But I've seen it happen in the past. It hasn't happened recently to me.
Do you have the Twitter bug? Like, if you're in, then hit Twitter.
I don't know. I don't use Firefox, so I don't know.
No, not Firefox. Chrome. All Chrome. Sorry, I haven't used Firefox. I'm talking Firefox. Chrome.
Oh, I just closed it.
Let's see if you're still logged in.
Oh, I'm not logged in.
You're not.
It logged me out.
You just closed it and it logged you out. Why would that happen? You didn't close the browser.
I can guess that they do that because you're using your actual username and password to your real Salesforce instance. Like, this is you don't log into this with a made up funny username and password. It uses your real Salesforce password.
But you and I both know if I'm logged into this and then I went to hit my URL of my real thing, I would not be logged into my real URL.
No, it's not logging you into your real
So
Salesforce, but it's using your real Salesforce username.
So why not leave me password?
I don't have the answer.
No, but
I don't know.
Okay, so
rhetorically, I have no idea.
You just proved my point in that you actually closed you closed the tab and you were logged out. It's not the browser.
But that's not what
that's a problem.
I'm okay with that.
No, we should. If I close the full browser session, fine, but not just the tab. The browser session.
Well, again, I feel like they do that because it's your real username.
Go to
Salesforce.
Go to a Twitter. Go to an idea. Any idea.
Any idea.
Any
All right,
idea.
let me go to the newest one. Chatter notifications in Salesforce header. I'll go to that one.
Okay, and now hit Twitter on the side.
This thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yours works. Okay.
Yeah. I've never had a problem with these things.
Maybe it's a block up thing I have. Anyway, I just feel like these are the types of things that, like, and again, I try to post a comment. It wouldn't post a comment. Try to post a comment under. Maybe it's I've got some sort of thing.
You must have something in your browser that's not allowing you to do stuff, because I've never really had a problem with doing things on this
Maybe
platform.
it is. It might be something I haven't. It just feels to me like it's one of the few sites that I find that kind of always gives me a little bit of browser problems, whereas almost every other site on the internet, I never question whether I'm in Chrome or Safari. This one traditionally between posting and things, I know I've had to jump over to Safari a million times to like vote on things. Even it won't let me vote on things. Anyway, cool. Well, let's go to the next big agenda item, which is exception reporting.
Yeah, well, the analytics edition. That's why I brought up that particular idea. So on the product blog, there was a post a couple days ago on December 13th by Thomas Tobin, the resident guru and product manager of analytics. And it's officially announcing the Salesforce.com Analytics Edition, which will essentially include 4 major parts in the Spring 12 release of Salesforce.
Yep.
So there's going to be a feature called bucketing. Now, I've seen a demo of all these things. If you went to the analytics roadmap session at Dreamforce, you've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it actually on an MVP call, but so these 4 parts, bucketing. So bucketing is pretty cool. It allows you to, in the report, create sort of your own summary values.
Right.
So you can say, I want to bucket opportunities from 0 to $10,000 and categorize them as small.
Right.
And then I want to take ones that are between 10,000 and 100,000 and call those medium. And then anything greater than 100,000, make those large.
Very cool.
So on the fly groupings, pretty cool. Cross filtering. So this is essentially the outer sort of that outer join, if you will, the ability to filter on related objects. So as an example, you can have a report on accounts and contacts, and you can show all contacts and accounts that don't have a closed opportunity.
That's exception reporting.
Exception reporting.
Right.
Sorry,
The
I'm
next
going to get to the
one's
outer.
joins,
Right. So the exceptions, the join. So you can join reports together. So reporting on multiple children of the same parent. As an example, you can have a report showing products and team members on each opportunity in your team.
Yep.
I'm assuming you could do something. Maybe this is actually I think this is in this format as well, where you can show like accounts with their opportunities and their cases in one report.
So it's basically the thing that we talk about to our clients all the time, which is great, powerful engine, some limitations, and the limitation has been before this package, and we can talk about what it is and the costs and the licensing and all that, but that you can only go basically down a string of objects that are connected in one way, one fashion. So we talk about accounts to contacts, contacts, opportunities, like going down that path. You can't go what you were saying, which is accounts with opportunities and cases, because that's outside of that.
I want the accounts
tree
with their cases and their opportunities. It goes outwards.
Right.
And then the last one, which is just giving you more as far as limitations are concerned, just giving you higher limits on analytic snapshots, scheduled reporting, dashboards, and dynamic dashboards. So all this is great news.
What's the hook?
Comes with the caveat. So the question that's posed is every new analytics feature going to be an analytics edition? The answer is essentially no. And they are going to be charging for this.
Right.
The price I don't think is actually mentioned in this blog post. So we don't know what it's going to cost. They've given a reason why they are charging more, and I'm not going to read that out. You can go read this blog. It's in the products blog on.
Give me the synopsis. What's the quick?
Well, essentially, it's taken them a long time, and they've invested a lot of money in it, and there are $1 million BI business intelligence packages out there that people either don't have the money to spend on or have already sunk millions of dollars into, and their belief is that these features that they're delivering gets Salesforce reporting engine closer to those higher end BI engines, and that it's worth paying for. There are major caveats in the fact that if you want Analytics Edition, you can't. It's not like a traditional like BI package where you have creator and reader types of licenses, right? You have you have a report writer, and maybe you have 5 that just can write reports, but everyone else you buy so they can read reports. This is all in. Everyone can create them.
But you have to have the license to do that.
But you have to buy them, and everyone in the org has to have one.
Oh, everyone in the org? You can't give them to
some people?
If you
have an org with 1,000 people in it, you're buying 1,000 analytics.
Are you sure about that?
I am positive about it.
Wow.
That was a big point of contention as far as the MVP community was concerned, because there were people in there representing large enterprises and saying, this is great. I've only got 10 people who will actually create these reports.
Right.
And a third, a quarter, an eighth of my 1,000 users even use reports.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense for me to have to buy this. I'm sure if you have 1,000 people, you could obviously you have an AE, you could talk to them, whatever it might be. But I'll let you react to it because I've presented it.
Yeah,
I'll let you react to it.
Let me jump in here. It's funny because I've now done a 180 on my own opinion. I was at the point before I was like, okay, it's kind of like mobile plus or mobile not light, mobile full, right? You have some users who need it. It's got some really high-end stuff. You want to give it to those users. Maybe there are some people in your organization who need that. But you're right. Most people don't even use reports and dashboards, and then most people don't even go in and build them. So if I could my thought was if you gave someone the license, they would be able to build, create, and read these reports. Nobody else would be able to build, create, or read. I think that's fine if you had said that to me, right? So if I build a report that uses these features in the report, only people with this license would be able to read that report. That made sense to me. But saying that everybody in the org has got to have it, I think that's asinine. I mean, it doesn't make any sense because, again, even for a small organization, for 30 people, if one person is doing the reporting but using it for their own purposes in the accounting department, it's kind of like saying everybody in an department needs to have access to, if we're talking about accounting, right? In accounting packages, generally, you only have 4 or 5 people using them. They're very expensive. So you give it to those 4 or 5 people. You don't give it to everybody in the org because everybody doesn't need general ledger. So to say, oh yeah, no, everybody, you got to buy a license for everybody. You're a Citigroup. You have 375,000 employees. Everybody's going to have access to that general ledger. But only 5 people use it. Nah, everybody's going to use it. So I actually was going to say, that's fine. Now, hearing it's got to be all org doesn't make any sense. It should be a license by license. What you want to limit, I don't care. It could be a set of folders they can only get into. It could be if a report is built using any of these features, fine. I don't mind charging for it if it actually has extended features. They're charging for it because they can. That's it.
I think that's it. It's a little odd where Salesforce picks and chooses to decide that it's an all or nothing decision. For example, chatter is an all or nothing decision.
Right.
Content is not.
Right.
What
marketing users.
Right.
Not.
Marketing users, not all in, right?
Nope.
You can have campaigns in your org and only 5 of them can create them and others can see them. Why are certain lines drawn and where? Maybe it's architectural.
I'm sure it is.
I'm sure that's it.
There's
right?
architectural and then pricing. Whether can I sell it?
Well, this is something I think that they can sell, and I think that at the beginning it's going to be a hard sell to a large organization. I don't know if it would be a hard sell to, say, our organization that has under 10 users on Salesforce. You know, we'll take a good look at this and see if it will help us. Now, what I've been asking via Twitter and via these communities and haven't gotten a good answer on is, as a partner, I need to have this. Like, I need to have this as a partner to enable me.
Yeah, but you could make that argument for every feature.
But I have every feature.
No, you don't.
I do. If I go into a Salesforce, if I go into the partner portal and create a partner demo edition, right, everything's in there.
But why wouldn't this be in there too?
I didn't get an answer on whether it would be in there or not. I am hoping it will be, because we need to know what this thing can do. If
knowledge is in there, if everything else is in there, they're going to put this in there. I would not even worry about that, because that's their way. They always put everything in because you're selling Salesforce in some ways. It's sort of the enigma. It's the enigma of Salesforce and their pricing model. This analytics seems like something that, the question that came up that he answered in the blog post, is every new feature going to go in? No, but I'll tell you what, new cool features are going to go into the pay model, right?
Right.
And if history is anything, there'll be a time within a few releases from now, we'll be sitting in Dreamforce and someone will get up there and go, you know what? Analytics is free again. Right. It's all about whether they can sell it, and it's sort of where I have my biggest issues with Salesforce and sort of their licensing stuff. The licensing scheme today for licenses is unbelievably difficult to understand for an average user. I've been doing this for, many years.
The additions, and then they splinter the Sales Cloud and the Service Cloud edition. It's very wishy-washy between what's the difference between Sales Cloud Enterprise and Service Cloud Enterprise, aside from the Service Cloud console. What's the other difference there? And I'm not sure there is one.
I think what someone should do is at that Dreamforce, using that big screen they use at Dreamforce, they should on that screen and try to put the entire set of additions, licenses, fees, everything on one big screen. And if they can't do it on that screen, which I don't think they can because of all the different intermoving pieces, and make it easy to understand, it's like, then you shouldn't be doing that way. And there's something wrong with the model that, there's new licenses that seem to grow, but they never kill off old licenses. Like, there's a new Sela, which is a new set of licenses. There's this new license. There's the Force.com licenses where they kind of grew up out of nowhere. Then there's the Chatter licenses that they kind of threw up out. So, there's so...
I was actually looking. Chatter Plus and Force.com One app are the same price, and I couldn't figure out why you would get the Chatter Plus.
I don't know. Oh, because can you use more than one app in Chatter Plus?
I guess, but
well, it's the thing. Here's a note. If anybody in the product team is listening, or marketing team, this is the problem. If partners who live and breathe this every single day can't understand it and can't explain to our clients, then it's not a good thing. It's not a good pricing model. Make 3 editions.
Right.
Anyway, let's get back to the...
So just back to the introducing analytics edition. Spring 12, look for it in the release notes when they come out. I'm actually expecting the release notes to come out somewhat soon. Usually they do. They're usually out around the beginning of the year. And, look for these features. See if you can get demos from your account executives. Ask the questions on Twitter about the analytics edition. And I'm sure you'll get some answers. You could tweet at us. We'll try and fill you in as much as we know about it.
Yeah, but you saw a demo.
I've seen a demo.
It looks cool.
Oh, it's totally cool.
Right. It's totally cool.
It's totally what you want. It is exactly what you've been wanting.
Yeah.
From Salesforce reports for a while. Everyone was oohing and ahhing until the end when they showed us the pricing slide.
But no sense of price.
No sense of price.
Here's the thing. Their lowest price that's an add-on, I think, is $15.
What's that for?
Well, the Chatter Plus.
Well, I don't even consider that an add-on.
Well,
that's a license type.
But it's a license add-on to me.
It's a new license. I would think of mobile. I think mobile's
$35.
35. I could see this being that much.
This can't be $35.
I could see it being that much.
Because you wouldn't do it. No one's going to take an enterprise license of one something and add on almost 40% across the board.
I wonder if it'll be in unlimited or not. just part of it. Like, knowledge is not.
Depends when you sign your contract.
I guess
if
so.
you sign your contract after spring release, then you put it in your unlimited licensing.
Right.
Anyway,
we'll see.
Next up, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Again, I always question some of their models in this, but I'm not in those rooms, and they don't listen to me. Next up was actually just a little update from last week. We talked about the Intuit.
You're going to eat some crow?
I'm going to eat a little crow. Crow, crow. That was my crow. I'm going to eat some crow, but then I'm going to be like, really?
Okay.
So, yeah, I asked about this Intuit partnership. You know, they made a splash of this press release. I was interested because I know a lot of our clients have asked about the connection between QuickBooks and Salesforce. It's sort of a big ask. It's all the time people are asking for it. I mean, a high percentage of our clients. So when it came out, I was like, oh, that sounds very cool. Well, I named the podcast Slow Books because it hadn't been out yet as play on QuickBooks, and yet someone tweeted back and said, yep, here it is. And it's up. QuickBooks.com /Intuit.com/Salesforce. What's funny, I actually asked before the podcast, so like it took them like 2 days or 3 days to answer me.
Well, they
after
clearly listened to the podcast.
And so it does syncing between Intuit and QuickBooks and QuickBooks Online, but it's only available for group and professional.
Well, hold on, time out.
Yeah.
Is it only available for group and professional, or is group and professional the only editions that Intuit is reselling? Remember, this is part of it is the resell. Intuit's reselling Salesforce.
Both are correct.
Both are correct. So you couldn't get this for enterprise if you wanted.
Nope.
The actual Intuit piece of it is not available as a separate third-party
Not that I could find. I went on the App Exchange to search for it. I went across Salesforce for QuickBooks, searched across it. I did not give them a call because I did not feel like wasting my time talking to some sales rep who's not going to know. But everything I can see up here really is just it's a Intuit reselling Salesforce with some sort of connector, but they're only reselling group and professional.
Well, what do you get? Let's see. In group, obviously you get group edition of Salesforce. In professional, you get professional edition of Salesforce. Yeah. And there's some caveats. Actually, the pricing looks good for the Intuit piece. I mean, you're basically not even paying for the Intuit part.
Right.
What are some of these? It says for the first 3 months. So, let's see. It doesn't say anything about after the first 3 months. So, as far as the QuickBooks integration, you get QuickBooks customer sync to Salesforce accounts.
Oh, that'd be great.
You get configurable sync options and viewing QuickBooks customer details in Salesforce. So, open balance, sales history, credit limit, estimates, sales orders, invoices, etc.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
That's for the group edition. Add to that, onto the professional edition, you also get the ability to create transactions in QuickBooks from Salesforce, estimates, sales orders, invoices, sales receipts, and QuickBook items sync to Salesforce products.
Wow.
It's pretty nice.
That sounds like a whole bunch of cool stuff.
It actually does. It sounds
can't
pretty
get
neat.
it.
Well, we're on Enterprise, so we can't get it.
No. Even if we weren't on Enterprise, if we were on Professional, I wouldn't be able to get it. Because
Why?
Because I'm buying it from here.
Oh, I can't just buy the Intuit piece?
No, that's the point. It's nothing. It doesn't
It's not
exist.
for existing customers.
No, can't find it.
Oh.
Fail.
Yeah, I guess a little bit.
100% total fail. So it's not really something you can get. It's not really something that exists. It's not something I can actually install into my org. I can't even install into my org because I'm on Enterprise. It's like, this is not what we want. I don't want to tell my customer, oh yeah, you know what you can do? Go boot up a new org, especially nonprofits. I love that. Yeah, you couldn't even use this at all because you don't even use Professional Edition.
Oh, it does sync with the desktop version of QuickBooks as well.
Yeah, it does both.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was going to be only online.
Yep, so anyway, total fail.
We might have to call them and figure out this whole situation.
Maybe this will keep going on. And the last bit of news is something we've talked about before, dewcom, Salesforce's, I guess, task management play, which is that they bought a software. I forgot the software they bought. Who did they buy? Not
Manymoon.
Manymoon. And they've rebranded it dewcom, and they've launched it live now. I mean, you can sign up. And it's live. So for those of you who hadn't gotten the beta, if you want to try, it's dewcom. Here's the interesting thing. Have you tried going to dewcom recently?
I honestly signed up for it and haven't used it.
Oh, that shows me a lot. So I logged out, and when I went to log in, again, I saw a nice little, log in with my Salesforce
Oh,
account.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I clicked on it. Oh, is it going to actually let me do this?
I don't know.
Because
You tell me.
I tried this in another browser and it wouldn't work. Yeah, remote access authorization error.
That's
I don't know
not
what
good.
that means.
Oh, off, not good.
I don't understand what. But anyway.
No good.
Anyway, it looks like there's the ability to sign in with your Salesforce license.
That's pretty cool.
Which would be cool if it worked. It doesn't seem to work.
You know, that's funny because our Salesforce, our usernames when we were in the beta is the same as our usernames as our Salesforce license.
Right.
I wonder if that'll screw it up somehow.
Oh, all right. Well, let's try to log in with a different one. I have many accounts.
You do. This is
And
a true statement.
I can log in with one of the other ones. No.
That looks like you just typed in the wrong password there. Let's try this one more time on the fly.
On the fly? No.
No, not like
I could try a different browser.
Well,
Anyway,
whatever.
Anyway, so dewcom, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Sign up for an account. See if you can sign in.
The mobile app was upgraded as well. On the phone, you can create an account from your mobile now. Like you don't have to.
Okay.
You don't even need the web.
Yeah.
You don't even need the website.
It's a very nice little task management. They have a great video. Actually, on Read Write Web, they have a great video, or I guess it's the ad for it, and it's about these two kids doing like a campaign, and it's actually quite funny, just in terms of staying on top of things and doing things. And it is, like most task managers are very built for just one person. This is really built for multiple people to use and share. And again, you can connect it up to your Google account, which is cool. Again, for me, we have so many task management. I want more consolidation. Less segmentation. So this would just be yet another place to go manage my tasks. Every device I have basically can manage tasks. I need to keep them in one place, not in 17 places, and none of them talk. So, I've talked about I use OmniFocus and really appreciate it. We actually don't use Salesforce tasks very much, primarily because they don't go anywhere. They just sit there, and we want to have tasks sort of follow us around wherever we are. But anyway, it's live, so go check it out. I actually went back in this morning, looked around. I love the interface. The interface, great. It's very Ajax, very jQuery, like it's very Web 2.5, 3.0. Everything's very slick and moves and drags and drops. Feels like a real desktop application, but of course, it's a website. So anyway, give it a try, dewcom. All right, speaking of things that we want to tell people to go give a try, why don't we go do our CloudFocus App Pick of the Week?
Oh, yeah, let's do that. I'm going to pull out my phone.
Okay.
I'm not going to open the app, but I'm just going to look at it for a moment. So I have picked a new Google mobile app.
Okay.
Google launched a couple new mobile apps over the last week or so. And this one is called Currents.
Nice.
So for the longest time, I used Google Reader to stay on top of things.
Yes.
And I haven't used Google Reader in a while, like
Really?
6 months.
Me neither.
I've just dropped off the face of the earth.
I haven't
with
used
Google
it
Reader.
in at least 2 hours.
Wow, that's great. Because I've been using things more like Google Currents. Things like the Flipboard, the Flipbook, the Zine, whatever that one. Zeit.
I love Zeit.
Things like that.
Yep.
As well as just my Twitter feed and my Facebook feed to just keep up with news. Like I've no longer, and Google Reader started the I'm not going to get things, they're coming to me.
Right.
And Twitter and Facebook have taken that to another level. Like I'm just going to open Twitter and things are going to find me.
Right.
Particularly like sports news and just latest events. Well, Google Currents does that in an app. It's kind of their version of those like kind of apps where you can add sources. You can add social sources. They have a bunch of pre-built connections with websites or publishers or magazines that you can bounce through and look at different stories in different ways on a mobile device. So it's just kind of their version of like the Zeitz types of apps.
So does it connect up with Twitters and things like that?
Yep, and it's connected through my Google Apps account.
Okay. Oh, so Google, does it read
I'm
in
logged
from?
in.
Does it read in from Reader?
I don't think it reads in from Reader.
Okay.
But it
that's
has the
interesting.
+1 and all that, the Google Plus type of integrations there.
I will say, I mean, the reason I stick with Reader is really because of what Reader brings in terms of organization. What Twitter doesn't do very well is organize. So I can be reading through a topic of things, and we used to talk about this a lot. We used to be in the point where we were trying to teach people about RSS and RSS feeds. One of the things we say is the power of it is when you're reading stuff, it is easier to read. And I have no factual information, no studies, no anything, but I know it to be 100% true. I'm making up my own fact. It is easier to read and to skim through a set of topics or articles if all of those articles are of the same genre, if they're all talking about the same thing. So I'll give you an example. When I'm reading through, I'm a fan of a local sports team here. It rhymes with Mets, but it's not. And when I'm reading that
was terrible.
When I'm reading through that news, if I'm reading through and seeing news about cloud computing, about funny videos, if I'm seeing news, basically everything that would show up in my Twitter or Facebook feed, meaning it's just a random bunch of stuff, it doesn't have any sort of context to it, it's hard to scan through because my mind is sort of jumping from topic to topic. When I read in Google Reader, which it still does it the best, although Zeit I think does it pretty well, but it still does it the best, is that I have a group, right, of a folder full of all the sources of sports news, and when I click on that group, I can then just go straight through it and start reading it. And there's lots of repeats, right, because things are said over and over again, but I'm always scanning for the same set of words. I'm looking for the team name, I'm looking for a player name, I'm looking for some things, so it's just easier to scan through that document or that data. When you're looking across multiple categories, it's just very difficult to do that. And so that's why I think still Twitter to me and Facebook, not great for news reading, because it's like, oh, cool article. Oh, someone got a new cat. Oh, a baby picture. Oh, cool new article. Like, it's so just not connected. So I'd love to have one of these that kind of does that. I think Zeit does it the best because it sets topics, but it's not set topics by your Facebook. It's just they set the topics. So I have one that Mac News, I have one that's Salesforce, one that's cloud computing, and then when I'm skinning through articles, it's all grouped by those things. So I'm looking at cloud computing news, and I'm kind of going through it with my cloud computing eyes on it, I guess is the word. Anyway, well, that's cool. How much does it cost? Anything? Cost anything?
Free. But with the caveat that it's a Google product and it's free, and
it might go away.
It might just disappear if nobody uses it. So just know that.
So I have a piece of software that I have been using for years, and
I think you mentioned this last week.
I mentioned it because it just came out with a new version.
Yeah, you mentioned that you use it, and that you were looking for when we were talking about Evernote. You were like, I wish Evernote could do what this thing does.
Yeah. So, well, it came out with a new version.
All right.
And so, with the new version, and they're now in the Mac store. So, for one of the long things that when you're trying to organize your files on your desktop, so, the Mac has taken a sort of a different approach. When you want to organize your videos, your music, you use
iTunes.
Right. And iTunes, do you know where they are in folders?
They're in my iTunes library. I don't care where they are.
Yeah, that's right. Because iTunes is sort of your browser. It organizes them by dates and titles and art, and you can just sort through it, and that's how you get through things. And if you're going to look through, I'm trying to give another example, email, you would go through email, right? Every one of your email messages is actually an individual message on your file system, but you would never go that way. So this piece of software called Yep they call it the iTunes for PDFs. And what it does is you download and install it. I think it's $14.95, so it's a pretty good price. You download and install it on the Mac, and it basically says, and it goes and zips across your entire everything, including drives, including cloud drives, including Dropbox, including MobileMe, and finds all the PDFs, all the files. It can look at Excel and Word docs. You can tell it not to if you don't want to, and basically starts to sort of bring them into a viewer, like a iTunes-like viewer, where you can then sort and do all sorts of things with them. The nice thing you do is you can start to tag them. So you can tag things and then obviously search by tag and look at tags. So what I use it for is I have a scanner, and when I scan things in. I've been going paperless for years and years now, and this is my way of doing it. I scan them in, receipts or whatever, and they go right into Yep. And then I tag them in Yep. So I give them like 3 tags, like the year, what they're about, utility, and then maybe something more specific, like if it's my RCN bill, I'll type it RCN. So I put 2011 cable, RCN is my 3 tags. That way, I can go in. If I quickly need to see all my RCN bills, I go into YEP, click on the RCN tag, and no matter where that file is across the entire file system, it'll then give me a list of them. So it's sort of like iTunes for PDFs. It's very good. It's called YEP. It's by a company called Iconic Software. They've been doing this for a while. They have a lot of them. They have YEP, they have Leap, they have a couple others. This is the one I sort of focus in on. They have one, but they've done a really nice job. The interface is pretty good. It could use a little bit easier, but it's great for if you really want to go digital and you don't really want to, because organizing PDFs is difficult because there's really nothing, you can't go off anything in them. The nice thing is it writes it to the PDF, so it's actually agnostic. So it writes it into a Spotlight search. So if you were to get rid of YEP and try something else, the tags are still in the file itself. So it doesn't need itself, which is nice. It doesn't sort of take over your system or put anything where you don't want it to put it. So that's YEP by Iconic Software and available on your Mac store. So that's sort of the new news, is that YEP 3, and it's now available on the Mac App Store. So coming from the cloud, I guess, is my cloud part of it. So that's it. We didn't talk about our blog, the blog post this week, because we talked about it on the podcast last week, but Justin here wrote a blog post on our weekless wave, or waveless week. Maybe the last time we ever mentioned Google Wave. This might be it on the 73rd episode. So if you want to read that, you go to blog.arkusinc.com. Follow us at Arkusinc on Facebook and Twitter. Jason M. Atwood is my Twitter handle, and Just Edelstein is Justin's. Again, we're on Facebook.com/Arkusinc. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Leave a great review. Yada, yada, yada. We appreciate it. But until next week, and we'll be back with, I think I'm writing a blog post on predictions.
Oh.
2012 cloud predictions.
Nice. I like that one.
Yep. That's my yearly one I get to rehash.
The office manager is here.
Yes, he is. We will see you next week, so enjoy those cloudy days.